Like, do you think you could get our son into this school? I don't know if I can.
I mean,
I don't know.
I read your references. I saw your father, me, wrote you a letter of recommendation.
Doesn't carry a lot of weight with me.
Yeah, it doesn't carry a lot of weight. Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about Legion, Season 3, Episode 8, otherwise known as the series finale.
Goodbye, Time Cats.
Oh, Time Cats! Time Cats! This is the end. This is the beginning.
Yes.
All right, so it is over.
Yes.
Your just immediate thoughts, sir, before we launch into specifics?
I can't express this any other way.
All right.
There are a number of times when you're watching that you're watching a show where you don't know how it's going to end, and everybody has their theories about what the show is and what it's
theory
about,
crafting,
or whatever.
baby.
And it was when I first watched Lost, where I started like, boy, the ideas that people have for the show are so radical. A lot of people are going to be wrong.
Okay.
You know?
And then how will they react when
Yes,
they're wrong?
exactly. So there were a number of things that I thought about this series that didn't bore out to be true, just like in Lost, actually. But I was fine by the end of it. I wasn't in love with it, though. You know, and I'd say the same for Battlestar Galactica. So I thought it was a fine ending, but they made choices along the way that I wished I might have liked if they made different choices.
Can you name one of those choices, perhaps, that you wish they would have maybe made differently?
Well, I mean, maybe I would have been happy if they hadn't done time travel.
It is a danger. Like, you wipe away the show. Now, obviously, they address that kind of in a meta way in the episode. They're like, Sid says, what, so we're all gone now? And
yes.
She's like, no, nothing you do, it all matters. This kind of was the point that Switch mentions to her. It all mattered, damn it. I think it does matter. We can talk about why in a second. But yes, I agree. Time travel was made me go, I was good with the ending, although my theory crafting was I was convinced Farouk was going to be killed.
Yes.
Farouk was not killed.
Nope, he wasn't matted.
He was not matted. Switch was kind of matted. I mean,
yes.
To the point that I was like, she's not going to do the time travel thing with him anymore. That is true, and she left a corpse behind.
Yes.
She's not technically dead.
No, she's not. It's only the way that a caterpillar or a butterfly leaves.
Oh, good call, sir.
Butterfly leaves a corpse of a caterpillar.
The caterpillar corpse. So, yeah, it's not I'm going to do a petition to change the series.
Redo it without Noah Hawley.
Yeah, no. It was good. It wasn't necessarily like one of my top 5 episodes of the series. Which in a perfect world, you'd be like, it was I don't know. Hey, Blake 7!
I was going to ask for one, and you given me that one earlier.
Yeah, that show emotionally devastated me, the ending, in a good way. For about 2 weeks, I was like in a depression after that show. And spoiler alert, everyone dies. But which they could have gone in this show too, I suppose. But they didn't. They were optimistic, damn it.
Yes.
These jaded fools. I'll count you in this. Sure, why not?
I didn't want anybody to die.
So that was Paul the whole week leading up to this. I assume everyone's going to die. Good. No.
Mad 'em all! Mad 'em all!
Mad 'em all! All right, so yes, so it was a very optimistic ending. It did not resolve itself with fisticuffs. It resolved itself with a beer.
Yes.
And a handshake.
Sure.
Okay, so we'd set up the situation of old Farouk and new Farouk versus Professor X and David. And then meanwhile, you would have Sid and the Carries and Gabrielle trying to protect baby David in the Professor X Gabrielle household.
Yes.
And so those were our 2 points of attack. The 2 Carries I almost say the Drew Carries. But okay. Anyway, Drew Carey decides that he's going to spin the wheel. That if they combine themselves again, that their double time signatures will confuse the time cats.
Yes.
And give them the edge in combating them. So that is what they do. I get the feeling, the implication I got from by the end is that the Time Cat's weapon is time. They consume it, so that the aged Carrie with a K is because those are the attacks on the Time Cats. She's got the white hair now. I don't know. If you give your thoughts out there, if you feel like if it's different than that, but I feel like that's the effects of doing hand-to-hand combat with Time Cats, as opposed to Sid, who was shooting at them. It was like, you stay over there.
Yeah, in case you hadn't picked up on it, I'm not anywhere near as literal as you are with this show. It's like, to me, it's all metaphor. It's one thing that, as an aside, the theory of time travel in this show is in stark contrast to what we saw in Avengers Endgame.
True.
So, for me though, as soon as I knew that, I can always just say, no, Matt, this is how it is. This is how it is. You're like, wait.
No.
They went back in time.
I can come up with a... Okay. Yeah.
David went back in time, and it didn't change them instantly. So, you think it failed? Is that what you think? Huh? Because it should have instantly changed them.
Should have instantly changed them. Yeah, I still have a little
no.
With that, but no. Okay. They just fade out slowly, as we learned in this episode. I don't know if you stayed around to the end of the very last frame of Legion has a button. And it says, press button to start again. Kind of demonstrating that it is all a loop.
I guess.
Back.
If that's the case, then, he's going to go crazy again, and she doesn't turn out to be fantastic.
We can talk about that.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. I have some theories on that.
I mean, you could just say, start again to start his life again, I guess you could say.
Sure. He goes back to being a little baby.
Yep. Everything new.
That ending shot of little baby David mirrors the first shot of episode 1, which is little baby David. I think it's the same pillow in the background. I mean, it's the same shot essentially.
Good.
And they use the same music, Happy Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So there is definitely it's a big ring. Sauron's ring. Okay, I just brought it back to Lord of the Rings. Okay, great. So
he's lost it, folks.
I've lost it. Okay, we're back. Okay. So anyway, it had set up this confrontation between the two Farouks and David and Professor X. Admittedly, I was kind of looking forward to it. I didn't think they were going to be punchy, but I thought there'd be mental duel.
Sure.
We'd seen stuff in the past in the show. We got dance-offs. Yeah. We've got, CGI fights.
Yeah.
We've got, anyway. Didn't happen. All right, fine. They had to jump in. They had the pile-on thing temporarily.
Yeah, they did.
It was not conclusive, and it didn't really solve things.
No.
Farouk gets through. I'll just say it right now. I wasn't buying it. The old, hey, I'm fine now. Let's just shake hands. You know what? I agree. I will not screw with little baby David. Okay. All right. After all the things that Farouk has done, and I get it, this guy hasn't done it yet, but he's the same dude. They even say, David, who actually narrates the time travel lesson in this episode.
Yes.
He says you don't time travel to change yourself.
Right. You
time travel to eradicate what once was, and then leave room for a new thing to arrive. So I'm just saying. Okay. Obviously, the intent, I think the implication of this episode is that all will theoretically be well between Shadow King and Professor X and David. But I think it
suggests that, even though, as you were saying, his little, we can rule
the world together
later on.
Okay, he hasn't completely gone to the everything's great.
Yeah.
So old Farouk, gave new Farouk the glasses, and then that was his version of giving him knowledge. And new Farouk saw what had happened to David's life thanks to Farouk's interference. Also, then obviously David gave the cake to Professor X in the previous episode. That was knowledge.
Yes.
And Professor X
That's
got
true.
to see the timeline.
Yes.
And so, new Farouk, I'm calling him new Farouk.
Go ahead.
Is that fine? Okay.
I'm fine with that.
New Farouk and Professor X are both now alive in
and
the
classic
time.
Farouk.
Diet Farouk. Are now alive in this new timeline that they've created, and they have memories of the timeline that doesn't exist.
They do?
Don't they?
I don't know.
Professor X has eaten the cake.
I get
he
Professor
saw what
X.
happened in
I guess
this other
Professor
timeline.
X does, and
then new Farouk, put on the
I
glasses.
guess so. I guess they do.
So, like, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
There are these two very powerful beings who, at one point, squared off in one version of reality.
Yeah, I guess they would.
And it's that knowledge of that
That's
they have this awareness of what could have been.
One thing we don't know, I think, is like after in the original timeline when Xavier defeated Farouk, what he did after that. We know at some point he passed on David to the adopted family, but
interesting moment there too when
we don't know if he I think we assumed that he started the X-Men, but now there's no evidence of that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Maybe in that particular world, that particular reality, he just never started the X-Men.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. So yeah, that was a great moment. I thought the meeting of the minds, almost not meeting of the minds, but like an emotional, hey, I love you, son, moment.
Yes.
With the, hey, I can't imagine giving you up. It must have been to protect you. And that's interesting. Like, we don't know what that all implies.
Yeah, we don't know.
But that probably is true. And that kind of, you start thinking, like, how would that have come to pass? But anyway, we'll have that story will get told in the next season. All right, so you've got very knowledgeable Professor X, very knowledgeable young Farouk. We do see Professor X says, I'm going to start a school. So you get the idea that the X-Men are underway. We also see that reality has changed in that way that, at least for now, Gabrielle and Professor X are going to give it a try to be good parents to David. He's like, I'm not going anywhere.
No.
Like, he's kind of probably goes. I mean, if he's running the school, if any of the events of the actual X-Men transpire,
no, they could do it right there. I'm telling you, the family could be right there in the
part-time.
You know, it's like
it's like a commuter school.
There are schools that have headmasters who live in the school.
No, never a thing.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, do you think you could get our son into this school? I don't know if I can.
I read your references. I saw your father, wrote you a letter of recommendation.
Doesn't carry a lot of weight with me.
Yeah, it doesn't carry a lot of weight. I'm afraid, Mr. Legion, we're gonna have to let you go. Legion being in the X-Men or like one of the first, in the school would be interesting. That's it. Okay, that brings up a point. I know we're jumping all over the place, but
we are jumping all over the place, like
Legion.
a crazy jackrabbit.
Do you foresee some iteration of Legion, whether it be Dan Stevens or not, somewhere in the MCU eventually?
No.
Yeah, I kind of don't either. I mean,
no.
You set up this really powerful
one thing we know about this is that it's all part of the TV. Part of Marvel, which is different than the cinema movie part.
Now we've got this whole Disney deal with all these shows.
Yeah, but one thing that's not happening is there are two shows that'll continue after this Disney deal. One of them is Cloak and Dagger, and the other one is the Misfits. No, the Runaways.
Okay.
So those are going to continue on, and they're in those shows. There's very little, if any,
crossover.
None, in fact, I would say. They probably don't mention any of the like Hulk or Thor or Spider-Man or anybody like that. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comics, but I'm pretty sure they don't really mention them at all. So, and the Perlmutter, who's in charge of it, of the television stuff, does not get along with Kevin Feige. So, no.
Right. Okay.
They're not going to...
Well, this show it came to a natural conclusion.
And one thing you can say about it, though, is this, that, we don't know yet how they're going to integrate the X-Men into the MCU. That is going to happen. But I mean, I think one thing you could do is to say like this is a tale, probably like Logan, where it's like it's a nice little, imaginary story is what they would call it in DC. But this
What
parallel world, what if exactly?
By the way, I really liked Harry Lloyd as Professor X.
Yeah, he was very good.
The character itself was a little naive at times,
Yes.
but his depiction of Professor X I really liked. So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be horrified to see Dan Stevens or Harry Lloyd show up.
But yeah,
in the future somewhere.
I mean, because one thing they haven't talked about in this, I mean, you could argue there's no space for it, but they didn't mention Magneto. They didn't mention any of that, which presumably should have been happening at the similar
right, because it was
time
World
or whatever.
War II, and this is post World War II that all this stuff is happening. And
Right.
so anyway, that's when he was getting his powers. So anyway, let us know what you think the future holds, perhaps for the character of Legion. I'll just say it that way. Sid and David have their little. I don't know what would you call it. It's not exactly a forgiveness. He apologizes.
Yes, he does.
She basically seems to accept the apology.
Yes.
And they fade away.
Yeah, and he, I mean, she, in reaction to or in response to his apologies, like, I didn't do it for you, I did it for the baby you.
Baby you. What's the last line of the series is, be a good boy.
Yes.
Which is interesting, because doesn't his little kid's book that he always remembered growing up was like the angriest boy in the world or something like that?
I think so, yeah.
Don't be that.
Don't be that.
Don't be the kid you were
boy.
constantly read
be the
about.
Good boy.
Be a good boy.
Yeah, on the thing you were talking about earlier in terms of the change in Farouk, I think it was definitely a danger they were running in making it so that, presumably so you wouldn't see that as an option until it happened. So to make it more of a surprise that Farouk might be on, because I mean, we didn't get any real sense into why he was helping them, and if he was really just thinking, good, let's kill this
D3,
David.
right?
Yeah, why he was helping D3, why he was,
even up to that last moment, very shortly before the events that occurred in this episode, he kind of sold out D3 in an attempt to capture David. He was the one that reaches out to David psychically and is like, hey, yeah, we're on this blimp. I mean, didn't say that, but more or less it's come get me.
Yeah.
David comes, kills everyone, a whole lot of people, and it's all in an attempt for Shadow King to capture him. So he's not like, he's not lawful good.
No.
Right, in that moment. So he's not like, I'm a changed man.
I wonder. I mean, he didn't really go into detail, right? So he might have just really felt desperate, and he might have felt like your plan is stupid. It has this is the only way we can do it. But we didn't get a sense of that. I think they could have, in the course of the season, giving us a little more insight into feeling as if we were really seeing things from his perspective, but that also would have required, I would want more of a reckoning for what he's done in the past. All that imprisoning and enslaving people that he had done, that still apparently still is happening.
And those people are still enslaved, by the way. I mean,
apparently.
We don't know if he's going to go back and go, oh, guys, I've had a change of heart.
Yeah, we don't know.
Or Monkey King is still going to be like...
Exactly. Who knows? We don't know that. Who might not. I mean, it would have been, but that's... So anyway, I would have thought it... There are times I think we should avoid trying to have things be a surprise. You just have it be inevitable. And you can always be like, will he really do it? Will he really help?
Sure.
You could have done that.
Inevitability is not a flaw, I think. I mean, it's interesting to watch inevitability come about in a lot of shit.
Well, I mean, you could really start to see some sacrifices for him, right? So it's like wow, in the past I would have behaved in a certain way, but now I'm going to behave differently. And it should be difficult for him to do that. It should, his instinct should have been drawing him to cut people off and kill people and do all sorts of terrible things. And the whole point of him choosing a different path should be like, okay, I can see this is a better path, even though it's a more difficult path. As
I got you.
What is it Yoda might say?
Oh, okay.
Fear
leads to anger.
Yes.
Anger leads to hatred.
It is quicker, but not. Ooh.
That was an excellent Yoda, by the way. Well done, sir. I wasn't completely buying the Farouk switch. That said, I think my favorite moment of the episode is a Farouk David moment, and really liked it. It's kind of it's the low point, of the episode in a way, where David is just piled on. Farouk reacts, shrugs him off, and then David goes back to his mantra of the I'm a good person, I deserve love, and it's Farouk just comes like, no, you don't. It's like, oh, and it's just a dagger because it's exactly it's the worst thing he could say in that moment, because it's David himself doesn't believe he deserves love. Yeah. He says that all the time as his little mantra to try to convince himself. He feels like, I think I'm unworthy of being loved. That's why my parents left me. That's why I have trouble with relationships. I don't actually deserve it. Don't I? Do I? And then for Farouk to go, nope, you don't. It's like, oh, it was a great moment. Which is why the resolution of that is a little, it doesn't quite work for me. So that leads to the song, right? The Mother song, the Pink Floyd song.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from that song, he gets the inspiration to shake off young Farouk, who's been in that straitjacket. That looked really cool, by the way. The visualization of the straitjacket turning into young Farouk was really cool. Yeah. The song itself, though, I don't know. It's not as positive as his inspiration seems to suggest, right? What you would get at it on a superficial level is, oh, see, my mom and I had this song, and she's going to protect me, and that's why I deserve love, because my mom is, I have my mother's love, and so that gives me the courage I need to shake off this parasite.
Yes.
But the lyrics of the song aren't really that positive. I mean,
they're not as positive as they could be, but not again, because we discussed this before. Oh, yeah. It's better to have a more complex message than the simplistic message. Just like the Shakespearean sonnet where it's like, you're not the most beautiful woman in the world, and you're not this other stuff, but I love you. It's like, what? This is like backhanded complimenting me? It's a more complex message, a more honest message. So, while she's giving him her fears and all that.
She's going to put her nightmares into you.
Yeah.
Put her fears in, okay.
I mean,
but she's still a mom.
It's still a mom, yes.
It's better than being adopted. It's really, that's the message. Having a crazy suicidal mom beats
adopt by family that thinks you're crazy, when in fact you're crazy and have a bunch of powers.
Anyway, that song, obviously, that moment, he touches base with his mom, who's made this, she's going to make a concerted effort to be his mother, and so that's what propelled him. I just thought the song choice was not quite perfect. There's probably a perfect song out there. I don't know what that is. That would be like right on point, and not have to be like, oh, there's a couple of lines I don't really work with your theme. But okay.
Whatever.
So be it.
I mean, okay. Most people aren't going to be like, wait a minute, what the? Hey!
I did! they sang the whole song, so they could have selectively sung selective lyrics. They're like, no, we're doing the whole song, damn it, including the parts that are not, so whatever. Okay, yeah.
I'd like to actually thank my mom for the nightmares that she gave me. Thank you so much.
All right, very good.
That tells me that you really love me.
Okay. All right. Well, you've learned the message.
Yes, exactly. That's I don't know what kind of childhood you had without your mother giving you any nightmares.
Nightmare-free. Yeah. It was. Not a single nightmare ever.
I wonder if she loved you.
I think time cats were eating my thoughts. Speaking of which, time cats being taken out by swords and guns was a little weird, right? Because weren't they really tough to kill earlier? We have to go to the time between times. That's where their powers are limited.
Well,
as opposed to just, I can shoot them? Oh, dude, just shoot them then. Why did you have to go through all that rigmarole back in the day?
They were fighting them back in the previous episode.
Okay, I'm just like...
There were so many... maybe it was only dissipating them or something.
Okay.
We don't know if they're coming back or whatever. But it's like, what's the point if you can...
Why go to the time between times if you're going to be like... All right, fine.
Well, again, they were losing in the past.
Nope.
Yeah, they were losing, and only David was able to scare them into doing it.
We learned that the time cats are actually not particularly evil. They were just guardians of the passages of time. That you can control with a whistle.
Right.
That's what they needed. They
Yeah,
needed a
yeah,
cat
yeah.
whistle.
Well, I guess they needed somebody who was truly involved with her time powers.
By the way, my cat does not respond to whistle commands.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or any commands, really. Food, you're like, hey, there's food. And then she's like, that's what they should have with the time cats.
There you go.
Hey, we got some kibble.
Time kibble.
Time kibble. All right, so Switch spits out all those teeth.
Yes.
There's a groaner joke that comes out of that, which is the dad. We call him Dad. I mean,
Wisdom teeth.
yeah, he's like, you lost your baby teeth, but you got your wisdom teeth. You're like, oh God.
He is a dad.
He's a dad. Okay, we'll give him that. So they are essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, the most powerful beings on the show. Now that, Switch and her dad are essentially gods, right? We're fourth dimensional beings.
Yes, for that 10 minutes or so of the show. He's on a higher plane of existence, so he doesn't really care so much.
No, I'm not saying that he would interfere. I'm just saying, in terms of his and her powers now,
yes.
they're godly, practically. But it does feel like that once she ascends, once she goes through that doorway to join her dad, that she's kind of no longer in the frame of consciousness of this world, perhaps. Because she's like, I gotta do something first.
Right.
So she's very careful to go help everybody first,
Yes.
then leave.
Yes.
Theoretically for good.
Sure.
So she can't alter time anymore for them. She can't be used as a plot device. Hey, things aren't going so well with baby David.
Are you
Hey, Switch, could you come down and
imagining another season or something? I'm just like,
I think if there were.
Story's over.
Nope. No. The story lived. It said, press button to start again. I took him at his word. We get the feeling then, so obviously Sid and David disappeared. We didn't see the Carries disappear. We saw them have a little moment of like, brother. But I assume they disappear. I would guess, right? Because they're from the future.
Sure.
There's another
that version
of
them was destroyed, just like everybody else.
Yeah. So they disappear. Old Farouk would disappear.
Sure.
Leaving young Farouk.
Of course, there you go.
Who still got the knowledge because of the glasses.
Yeah.
All the people that died before would be dead. And anybody in the future is dead. So Tanami, who wasn't really alive anyway.
Yes.
Faded away. The blimp crashed, apparently. Any last thoughts, sir?
No.
Looking forward to seeing what Noah Hawley brings in the future. He's got the movie coming out, Lucy in the Sky, which has Dan Stevens in it. There was talk once, I guess he had a Doctor Doom script. It doesn't seem like that's going anywhere necessarily, but I'd be
Apparently he's
interested
going to talk to them. I read an interview
Feige
where he said that he would see what, he doesn't know where they're going to go with Fantastic Four, but who knows?
I think he's shown that he can be a very unique voice in the Marvel world.
Sure.
I'd be up for him contributing in some way in the future.
Yeah.
So you come to the end of the show, which, it wasn't a perfect show, but really, really worth watching.
Yeah.
There's so much creativity on display, and it took the superhero genre and just created something completely unique. And so kudos. Well done, showrunners and show cast.
And Time Cats.
Who made the whole thing worthwhile.
There you go.
So here's to you, Time Cats. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about The Boys, a little belatedly, but we had some people ask us to cover that, so we're going to do it. So we'll see you then, everybody. Bye now.